Welcome back to Empowered Families, Xinguang Jiayuan. Today, we are addressing a quiet crisis. We are seeing a generation of children born between 2020 and 2022 who are hitting school age and hitting a wall. They are bright, they are tech savvy, but they are struggling with basic spatial awareness, reading readiness, and emotional regulation. We call them COVID babies. But the issue isn't a virus, it's an environment their brains were wired in. For the first 2 years of life, the human brain is like a wet cement. It hardens based on the sensory input it receives. If that input is mostly 2D screens and masked faces, the internal processor develops differently. I'm joined again by Joyce Moy, parents coach and former Stajam Master licensee. Joyce, you have been seeing this with Janet, but now we're seeing it in a massive global scale. Are you seeing those red flags in families you coach today?
Yes, I do. And I think it's also largely due to the pandemic. And that was also a time when we have to do a lot of work from home. The kindergartens were not in operation, and school going children were asked to continue learning from the computer.
Yeah. Okay, well, the reason why I would like to focus on this issue is because that recently I talked to some teachers in school or tuition teachers. They were complaining that a lot of the standard one students they have issues with learning, but yet from the surface they look very smart and bright. Okay, so we just want to go further and then find out what we might be able to help this kind of children, okay, in their learning. Okay, Joyce, during the lockdowns, many children were confined to small indoor spaces with high screen time. This created a digital tunnel. Their eyes become experts at focusing on a flat surface 12 inches away, but they lost the muscle memory for 3D space. Joyce, how does this flat visual world affect a child when they finally stepped into a busy classroom or try to catch a ball on the playground?
That's a very good question, Felicia. And the biggest thing is when you look at a TV screen or when you're looking at your device, it's not just about the distance, but it's also about the space where they are confined to.
Yes.
You're really looking at a box. Okay? So at a very young age, you are training your eyes to say, to look at something, this is the angle for which you will focus. Over time, the brain learns and say, when I want to look at something, this is the angle. So once I leave the TV screen, if I were to go any other places, it will be in chunks of the same angle moving.
That's a very great explanation. Thank you, Joyce.
And to know whether this is one of the issues that the child could have been facing, we have actually a very simple activity that we can demonstrate here and
Okay,
parents can try at home. So Felicia, I'd like you to just take up your finger.
Okay.
Yeah, if you can stand just in front of me.
Okay.
Thank you. Now, I would need you to move the finger up slowly and then down.
Okay.
And then when you come back to the center, the same thing, but moving it to the left and the right.
Sure.
Okay. So we can begin now. In a normal environment, if we have been developing everything normally, our eyes, because it's just our eyes that need to follow your finger, it should be going in the direction that you want. So you can move up and you will see my eyes going up. Then you return to the middle and then you will see as you go down, my eyes go down. As you return to the middle, I'm there. Now you move to the right, left, and I follow you back. And you move to the right and I follow you and I'm back. This is a healthy eye function. On the contrary, there are many children now, when you ask them to do this activity, they are able to perform it, but you will notice that the head goes together with the eye in the direction that you need them to see. So if we put this back to learning, isn't it very tiring when they hold a book that they have to actually read, moving the head? And that can be a hindering factor to the desire of wanting to read.
Yeah, this is a very good activities that Joyce has just suggested. In fact, you parents, you may want to try this at home and see whether your child is able to focus and work with two eyes, the coordination between two eyes. Okay, so this is the activities that you may want to try it on.
Yeah. The other activity that is very simple to do at home, and for which it's shown in the screen as well, is the tracking activity.
Okay.
Because teachers also often complain that the child either skips words when reading, or sometimes they will be writing and missing lines, so that by the time they go home, they can't make out what the homework is about because they missed words and lines in between. So what you see in this spreadsheet here now is a very jumbled up text. Within this text is actually all the 12 alphabets. If your eyes are tracking well, you will be able to move from left to right, line by line, to find all the 26 alphabet. The way to play this game, and parents, you can play this game for yourself and for your child. As we say, the common excuse we have is our eyes do not work as good as it used to when we were younger. So it's also a very good eyesight testing game for you. Take this sheet, if you like, DM us, we'll send you the document, print it out, and the first letter you have to locate is the letter A. After you have done that, then just go to the second alphabet, which means you look for B, and do that from left to right, line by line. If you didn't miss any alphabets in between, you will be able to have Z right at the bottom, completing the entire sheet. If you are unable to do it, or your child is unable to do it, you will reflect back and you'll say, oh, there is actually a C there and I missed this line. So this is the miss out on tracking. If you have been able to complete this exercise in 2 minutes and your child can't do it within even 2 minutes. At 2 minutes, they're still struggling and they're not even near conclusion. It shows that their eye muscles are really very weak. And if you don't fix this, as what my star jump specialist told me, even if your child is a visual spatial learner, strong on the right side, it's very difficult for you to train them to read and write properly if their eye muscles are weak. So it's not just about focusing. The first exercise we did was an ability to focus the eyes where it should be. This second activity is to show you that the eye muscles must be strong in order for them to sustain the learning duration that is required for them in the classroom.
Yep. Okay, yeah, what Joyce mentioned just now, in order for the child to have a good vision, they need to have a strong muscles, right?
Yeah.
And not just for the eyes, but as well as on the neck as well. Okay, and in a normal environment, a baby's eyes are constantly shifting focus from a toy in their hand to a bird in the distance. This builds a depth perception and binocular vision, the ability for both eyes to work as a team. But during COVID, as children, they have to spend a lot of time indoors. They missed out the time to play in an open space. So that affect a lot on their vision.
Yes, and sometimes it's a hidden problem, because when the children play games, the parents will say, but they have no problems in doing tracking because they are able to play the game and go level by level. But what we have missed out is the space within which they are playing the game. If it's a device, it's still limited to the screen size of the device. If they are doing a remote game on the TV, it will be limited to the space within the TV. They do not have to look from one end of the room to the other end of the room.
Yeah. Okay. this might be something that different. We'll look at things from a different angle. Okay, now I would like to talk about something regarding making eye contact. I found that a lot of children nowadays, they have issues making eye contact with people, and that's really affected their social interaction and communication. We learn to read emotions and even begin to understand speech by watching the whole face. Between 0 and 2 years old, the brain's fusiform face area is peak training. When half of the face is covered, that visual social link is weakened. Okay, what do you think about this issue? Do you have any opinion regarding this?
Yes, I do. What actually happened when we have the child confined to the home and they survive or they pass time on devices? Eye contact is one of the first thing that gets affected.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens to us as adults as well. Imagine
Yes.
yourself watching a very interesting TV program and someone tells you, dinner is ready. And what would you say? Okay, coming in a minute. Do you look at the person? You don't.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We do that. We are guilty of that too.
Yes.
And the children will have that same problem. And worse still is if they are toddlers, they don't even know what they are eating
Mm-hmm.
because the food is served to them and their eyes are still glued to the screen. So that this is all where the learning phase is. The ability, as you mentioned just now, if you don't look at your face, you won't even know whether you're angry or not. And the only way they will know it's angry is by your intonation.
Yeah.
Right? They do not see an angry face.
Mm-hmm.
And they also lack the communication ability because when they are being fed and they're still looking at the TV, they have no idea what they are eating. They just know that they are having food. It's either nice or not nice, but they don't know whether they're eating prawn, they're eating chicken or whatever. So the next thing that we have obviously impacted by this masking is also speech.
Mm-hmm.
A child learns to speak by looking at how the mouth movement goes.
Yes.
And if you're having a babysitter looking after the kid, the babysitter is logically supposed to be masked up. You can't see the formation of the words. So yes, the pandemic has brought about a number of challenges. And sadly, if these challenges are not addressed, many of them also happen to fall in the trait of autism.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Joyce, thank you for sharing your opinion on the vision processing as well as the face masking issue. You as a parent coach, right? Can you share your opinions on some myth as well that some parents often being told that kids needs to be at least 2 years old and above before they can be assessed, or if they're past 12 years old, there's nothing that you can do to help them to improve. Okay, what do you think about this?
Well, I still believe early intervention is always the best because it's a wet sponge that you are, bringing up. And the earlier you detect the child has a problem and you work on it, the chances of them picking up and mastering things and overcoming difficulties is always there. Unfortunately, there are some services, as I have been told, would be like speech, for example. You can't really work on a child for speech unless the child reaches 2 years old. And then we also have a common practice that we have children going for occupational therapy or going for certain activities where children ends at 12. So what happens if we take the first scenario, your child, there's a problem, they have a speech problem, but they cannot go for speech therapy until they are 2 years old. So what do you do during those golden years? If you detected them when you were 1 year old, you're missing out a 1 year timeline. Does that mean you cannot do anything? No, not really. There are still very simple ways that you can do it yourself at home to help develop the speech ability for them. And that's an area that would be quite deep to talk as one topic, but help can be sought.
Yeah.
The reason why many children therapy stop at 12 is when a child is young, there are many methods to coax the child to follow a program. You could be nice to them, you can bribe them, you can even show stern faces or scare them, and they will go. But once they enter the teenage years, they have a mindset of their own.
Yes, true.
They can very firmly sit down and say, I don't want to go. I hate doing this. And when the child does not participate, you do not see the results.
Yes.
So when the results are difficult to determine, as professionals also very often they do not want to waste the parents' time. As professionals, very often they feel that it will be very tiring for the parents to go through it when the child is reluctant. But this does not always have to be the case. It also goes back to the child, the relationship the child has with the parent, and the inside desire of the child.
Yeah.
If the child has a desire to improve, they could be, like in Janet's case, 16 years old, and she's still willing to do certain things that we tell her when we tell her that this will help her to be able to read and write, because there's a burning desire within her. So yes, early intervention is always the best, but it doesn't mean if you have missed the golden years or you haven't reached the year of the age of 2 years, you can't do anything. No. You can do something on your own at home, and even after 12 years old, as long as you do not give up hope, you will still be able to make a change for your child's better.
Okay, today we really tag into a lot of concepts today. Okay, well, for the next episode, maybe we want to talk more about this social interaction, how we can actually improve children's social communication and interaction through play.
Yeah, sure. Let's just touch on that. And that again will be also based on my personal experience with Janet, what I did right and maybe what I could have possibly done better.
Yep.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for joining us for this session. And if you do have questions, always feel free to just put it under comments and we'll try to help answer them.
Thank you, Joyce, for joining me today.